Hello, everybody. Hello, everybody. Hello, everybody. Forgot to do that. Anyways, well, welcome to the Mikestand. Today is Friday, March the 7th, 2025. Because I forgot, in my haste and getting everything done at the end there, forgot to turn the volume on my TV down all the way. So we got a nice little echo in the background. But hopefully everybody's had a good week this week. Of course, if you can help out by liking and sharing the stream, see if we can get some more friendly people in here to engage, that'd be appreciated. Also, if anything here grabs your attention, feel free to comment and or ask questions. I'll try to answer the questions to the best of my ability. With that being said, we do have because I'll just get right into it. I usually will wait a few minutes to give people a chance to come in, but I see we do have a couple people here. So I'll at least start talking about a little bit what's on tap tonight. So I got a couple articles from that park place tonight to go over, both kind of animated related. As first off, the first article we're going to look at is the fact that the Powerpuff series got canceled. The CW series that was being produced. And apparently, the Warner Brothers also shot down the trailer that was leaked. Also, apparently, Oswald the Lucky Rabbit will be coming to Disney Plus, despite the fact that Disney had claimed it's no longer producing long-form animated content for streaming. So, those are two articles we'll go over tonight. Also, of course, we'll have the wrestling wrap-up. Look back to last night's Impact and Ring of Honor shows. Look ahead to tonight's SmackDown and look ahead to tonight's SmackDown, tomorrow night's Collision, as well as looking ahead to the Revolution pay per view from AEW coming up this Sunday. And then we'll finish things off with this day in each history. So, with all that being said, I think I'll go ahead and jump right into it. Now we'll get into the first article here. So, I pull that up. Alrighty then. So, with that, let's get into this then. Alright, so let's see what we have here. Alrighty then. So, anyways, let's get into this. Let's get into this first article here. Alrighty then. So, Powerpuff Girls canceled CW series trailer drops online, and it's one of the worst things ever created. WB shoots down trailer with mass copyright claims. Article by M. Montero, published yesterday. So let's get into this. This is supposed to be a pretty quick article here. Now this is, I guess, a reboot of the series from back in the, or I guess an attempted reboot of the series from back in the 2000s, Cartoon Network. So Warner Brothers decided to try to bring it back. But of course, what happens when they try to bring stuff from back then back and apply the new mentality that corporate media and Hollywood want to apply to it, usually sinks like a rock in a lake. So let's see where this goes. So it's finally here. The long dead, much maligned Powerpuff Girls CW series. It's Powerpuff has surfaced in the form of a leaked trailer, and it's somehow even worse than expected. The ill-fated live-action adaptation of the Powerpuff Girls has been an industry punchline for years, but now we can all witness just how misguided the project truly was. If you thought the idea of a gritty, angst-ridden take on Blossom, Buttles, and Buttercup was bad in theory, it's so much worse than when you see how it looks in action. Oh boy! Now, mind you, this series is more of a live action series, and the idea was the girls were, of course. So I know Powerpuff Girls were basically kindergarten age, about 5 or 6, when the show was running in the early 2000s there, early and mid 2000s. So, like, just think 20 years later when they're in their mid 20s, to get an idea of what they were trying to do here. So, anyways, as we continue on here, however, the trailer's presence online was brief, with Warner Brothers issuing copyright claims left and right to mercifully strike this horror from the internet for good. Yeah, well, yeah, I mean, if it's as bad as I said, if it's even worse than they were saying, then I think most people can understand why. It's like, no, we don't want to see it, and we don't want people knowing that we put this garbage out. So they were probably very quick to strike it down. They weren't striking it because they were trying to protect it like they wanted to do it. They just didn't want the blemish on their record, probably. Yeah, and I guess that's, as I said, this is a pretty quick article. That was very, very quick. So the next one promises to be a bit longer. And as I said, if you haven't already, you guys can like and share the stream, see if we can get some more friendly people in here to engage. That'd be appreciated. Also, if anything here grabs your attention, feel free to comment and or ask questions, and I'll try to answer the questions to the best of my ability. Of course, I'm sure a lot of you were asking, well, why would people put this garbage out? But anyways, let's get into the next article here. Jon Favreau, Oswald the Lucky Rabbit Disney Plus series confirmed, despite Disney claiming it's no longer producing long-form animated content for screen. Now, for those of you who may not know, Oswald the Lucky Rabbit was an animated short series that was produced by Walter Land Studios. Originally, it was actually done by Winkler Productions back in the 20s, in the silent movie era. And then and then eventually the production was moved over to Walter Lantz, and when Walter Lantz took over, that was during the time when they were when you did start getting more and more, as they called them back then, talkies. In other words, sound animated shorts. And of course, Walter Lantz was producing them for distribution by Universal Studios. So, and there's an example of him right there. Actually, though, I do need to step away from the computer for a moment, so I'm going to put some music on for a moment here. I'm gone because I do need to step away from the computer for a moment. All right, I'm back now. Sorry about that. Anyways, let's get back to this article here then. So let's see there. All right, Deadline has now confirmed part of the recent rumor. Jon Favreau is indeed working on a Disney Plus series based on Oswald the Lucky Rabbit. The animation live-action hybrid project will be written and produced by Favreau under Walt Disney Studios. While this doesn't confirm the rumored Epic Monkey or Kingdom Hearts projects said to be connected to Oswald, it does lead credence to the idea that Disney is giving Favreau more creative freedom within the company. Now, I don't know, because basically for a while there, I think I had thought that, of course, since it was last done by Walter Lantz, they would have still, Universal might have still had the rights to it, but I guess not. I guess Disney now has the rights to it. But then again, I guess it would make sense because I think Walt Disney was one of the original people who worked on Oswald back in the 20s there. This development raises major questions, particularly because it comes just days after Disney publicly stated that it was moving away from long-form animated content for streaming. The decision to cancel Tiana, A Princess and the Frog series, previously in development, was framed as part of a larger strategic shift. Yet here we are. With a major animated project moving forward under Favreau's guidance. So, anyways, we ahead here. As that park place previously reported, sources indicated that the shakeup at Disney Animation was not merely about cutting costs, but about eliminating the influence of Jennifer Lee's DEI era hires. The mass layoffs and cancellations that followed seemed aimed at reversing certain internal policies in the personnel decisions rather than being purely about budget concerns. Translation, I believe what they mean is they saw that pushing DEI was costing them money, so they decided to get rid of the DEI. That's what that all boils down to. The confirmation of Oswald the Lucky Rabbit only reinforces this theory. Favreau's project is moving forward while Tiana and the other initiatives tied to the previous leadership are being axed. This further supports the idea that Disney's internal restructuring is a deliberate course correction rather than just cost cutting. Favreau's involvement also suggests that he may not be leaving Lucasfilm anytime soon. While some have speculated about his future with the Star Wars franchise, the fact that Disney is allowing him to develop a personal passion project signals that the company values his contributions and wants to keep him engaged. So I guess Jon Favreau is one of those who is a big fan of Oswald as well, I guess. Favreau has a deep reverence for Walt Disney's legacy, and Oswald's history is one of the most important chapters in the company's past. Oswald the Lucky Rabbit was one of Walt Disney's earliest creations, predating even Mickey Mouse. Originally developed in 1927, Oswald starred in 27 animated shorts before Universal took control of the character in 1928. And with Universal, also that brought in a new, basic creative department. That was when that's when it went from, of course, Walt Disney to Walter Lantz. So. Let's see. This loss was a defining moment in Walt Disney's career, leading him to create Mickey Mouse as Oswald's replacement. The rights to Oswald remained with Universal until 2006. All right. When CEO Bob Iger made it a priority to bring the character back to Disney, back to the Disney fold. Since then, Oswald has seen occasional use in theme parks, merchandising, and the Epic Mickey video games. But he has yet to receive a dedicated project on the scale of what Favreau is reportedly working on. While the news confirms the Oswald project, fans should temper expectations regarding the other rumored shows. Neither Epic Mickey nor Kingdom Hearts has been officially announced. And Disney's history of greenlighting then shelving projects means that even if discussions are happening, there's no guarantee these will move forward. However, the significance for the development extends beyond Oswald. Favreau's ongoing involvement suggests he has secured a unique position within Disney, with the ability to develop passion projects even as other creators see their work cut. His long-standing influence from launching the MCU with Iron Man to revitalizing Star Wars with The Mandalorian has likely granted him more creative leeway than most. It also suggests that Disney is being highly selective about which long form animated projects move forward, favoring those tied to proven high profile names. And of course, Oswald hasn't been seen or used in quite some time. So, anyways, I need to one more time here step away from the computer for a quick moment here, put on some more light in here. So I'll be right back. I'm gonna put some music on to keep you guys engaged here until I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. So that was just a quickie there. All right, so let me see now here. As Disney navigates the shifting landscape, the confirmation of Oswald's return signals a new phase in its content strategy. One where trusted creatives like Favreau are given room to explore legacy characters, while the remnants of the previous management's influence continue to be stripped away. Whether this restructuring ultimately benefits Disney's long term vision remains to be seen. But the company's content strategy is undoubtedly evolving in real time. Will you watch a Favreau produced Oswald show? Sound off in the comments down below. So basically, it sounds like there's a good chance. It's a classic character from almost from like 90 years ago, basically 90, 100 years ago. I'm actually watching some of the old shorts, so it's going to be interesting to see how they do it. As we said, Universal had the rights up to 2006 because they were the ones distributing the Oswald cartoons pretty much from when they picked it up in 1928 all the way into the early 40s. So as it's kind of funny, as Oswald was dying out in the early 40s, that's basically when Woody Woodpecker was starting to make his, big, his presence more felt. So, anyways, we're 20. Let me see if I can find something else to report on here. Let me see now. Let's see if I can find something else to report on before we. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. And just in case you were wondering where that tune's from, that's Smurfs theme. Okay, let me see here. And of course, as I've said before, if you guys haven't already, if you guys help out by liking and sharing the stream, see if we can get some more friendly people in here to engage. That'd be appreciated. Also, if anything here we talk about grabs your attention, feel free to comment and or ask questions. We'll try to answer questions to the best of my ability. Also, again, with that, if anything else comes to mind that you want to ask about in the realm of course, anime, cartoons, comics, or manga, or pro wrestling, feel free to mention that as well. So let's see. Hmm. And then I'm just trying to look, see if there's at least, if I can find at least one more here to go over. Oh, that's kind of a big one right there. Yeah, I'll get into that in a moment. Let's see what else. Hmm. La 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 la. La 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 la. I think that. All right, so I found. I guess I don't know if this was just put up just recently, or I didn't even get to this point. But here's another story that I just found. I'm bleeding full here. I'll look at this for a few minutes here. All right, so Japanese anime producer busted for obscene acts against minors. Article by Avi Green, published today. So let's kind of take a look and see what's going on here. So the Mainichi reports an anime producer was jailed for 4 years for soliciting child prostitution. A producer, so this is going to the Mainichi report here. A producer of the 2016 Japanese animated film Your Name was sentenced to 4 years in prison by the Wakayama District Court February 28th for paying cash to multiple underage girls for sex and filming their acts. Um, Koichiro Ito, 53, a um, former production company manager, and a resident of Nagatsugara Gifu Prefecture has been charged with offense including anti-child prostitution and anti-child pornography law violations as well as rape, with prosecutors seeking a 6-year prison sentence. Now, they say underage girls here, just to understand in context here, that's slightly different in Japan what the age of consent is. So unless we know a little bit more about like just how old these girls were, but they're indicating child, so they're probably pretty young because the age of consent in Japan is a little bit lower than here in the States. So again, just another little tidbit. Not that I'm justifying it or anything. I'm just pointing out what at least what I know of the law. So there. The Japan Times says Koichiro Ito was convicted of violating laws on child prostitution and pornography, as well as non-consensual sex and the filming of indecent images, Wakayama District Court spokesperson said on Monday. Ito, one of the producers of the critically acclaimed 2016 film, was sentenced on Friday. Regional broadcasters reported that Ito was accused of paying a 15-year-old girl 20,000 yen, $130, for sex in 2023 and demanding another teenager take and send him photos of herself. All right. All right. I get maybe the laws have changed in the last few years because, as I understood it, 15 was the age of consent in Japan at one point, and it was as recent as 10 years ago. So maybe the laws have changed in recent years, but I had read before that the age of consent was actually 15 in Japan. So I may need a little more clarification on that. But anyways, quote unquote, Your Name, directed by Makoto Shinkai, was a huge commercial success in Japan. It won Best Animation at the 2016 Los Angeles Film Critics Association Awards. Quote, I'm greatly shocked to see the news about an arrest, someone related to our work, unquote. Shinkai posted on social media platform X last month. Quote, first of all, I express my deepest sympathy toward the victims. I also feel very sorry for causing worries to people who love and support our work, unquote, he added. I don't think the value of our output is undermined by this incident, but it is natural to receive looks of disbelief. That is very regrettable and deplorable. So here's Avi's response to that. Sick, sick, sick. It's interesting to note that Your Name is a story about a boy and a girl who switch bodies with each other. It may not have been Ito who wrote it, but you could just as well wonder if people like him served as financiers because they thought this could be a great way to pander to woke agendas stateside. I would not agree with that, but granted, I haven't seen Your Name. I have thought about watching it at some point because it, but I'm just hoping that Avi is not looking at this as another. I hope Avi is not one of these people who just think, "Oh, anime is just anime is just like kiddie porn or whatever," doing that kind of thing. But that aside, it is lucky this wasn't a screenwriter or an actor who was caught with the pants down. Though the director does have a point, it's sad that now a bad man's name will sully the credits of the films he produced, much like Harvey Weinstein. Let's see. And here's Avi speaking more. But 4 years is still a very light sentence, as Unseen Japan points out. And there are Japanese activists who aren't happy either. However, despite the litany of charges, prosecutors only requested a 6-year sentence. That's the same sentence handed to a local politician recently for a single instance of statutory rape and prostitution. Now, I don't know if this has more to do with the prostitution side of it. Again, last time I checked, this might have changed in recent years because of everything going on. The age of consent in Japan was actually 15 without restrictions. So that may have changed since last time I checked, and I can check that again. But if it's still 15 without restrictions, meaning that basically they can give consent, they're considered an adult and give consent any which way. With the restrictions, it would usually, some countries will have two sets of age consent. They'll have the one that's without restrictions, which is usually 18, sometimes as low as 17, sometimes as low as 16. And then the one without or with restrictions is younger than 16 usually. Like, there have been some, unfortunately, in some countries where age of consent is like 13, but usually there's like certain restrictions that apply to that too. Now, mind you, I'm not advocating any of this type of behavior. I'm just pointing out what I know of the laws. The laws could have changed since last time I checked. So, even this request seemed to internet commentators to be extremely light. One popular X news account noted the disparity between the sentence and the one handed to Watanabe Mai, aka Sugar Baby Riri. Watanabe, who became addicted to a host at one of Tokyo's many host clubs, forged fraudulent financial relationships with men to pay off her club debt. Watanabe received a full 9 years for her crimes. Her sentence has since been reduced to 8.5 years. However, Wakayama court judge Fukushima Keiko thought even 6 years was too much, while saying his crimes had a significant negative impact on his young victims and that he bore great responsibility. She only gave him 4 years in jail. Activists in Japan have long held that crimes against women aren't taken seriously. Many sexual crimes, such as molestation, go unreported because women don't believe police and prosecutors will actively pursue them. And that's been the case in a lot of situations, though. Okay, maybe what I can do right now, in fact, is let me just take a quick peek. I will look that up real quick. Just so I'm up to date on All right. So I'm looking. Stop the share screen here for a moment. I'm going to share another screen here for a quick moment before we go back and finish off the article here, just so we all know and understand. So that now, granted, this is from Wikipedia, mind you. Okay, that's the source I'm using here for this. So, and I guess I should try to make that a little larger. See if that can. That might be a little too large. All right. Now, mind you, again, this is another country, another culture. I know there are going to be people who may not agree on from a moral standpoint, but all I'm pointing out is the law here. And these discussions are important, people, just so that because this is stuff that happens. This is different culture. Now, in Japan, as it says right there, restricted by age difference for male and female here. 13 is the age of consent, restricted by age difference. Now, usually with age difference, it's usually within 2 years of the. In other words, a 13-year-old, they basically say, can legally give consent to anybody who's let's see, and the no there in that other column must be married. So they do allow for for sex outside of marriage. Oh, and by the way, that's in um, hetero relationships for male and female 13, and it's also in homosexual relationships as well. That the restricted by age difference, restricted by authority. Now, what that means simply is that if the person is an authority figure over the minor, like a school teacher or like a school employee or something like that, um, basically the age of consent is 16. So it was changed since I last checked. So for hetero and homosexual relationships restricted by authority, it's 16 years old. Um, so restricted authority basically meaning that 16-year-old, 16-year-old, 16 and 17-year-olds can give consent to somebody to sex as long as person's not in a position of authority over them, like a teacher or something like that. And then 18 is probably unrestricted. So 18 is basically unrestricted. In Japan, it's gone up. It's gone up since I last checked it. So that's the point there. Since I last checked it, in Japan, it's actually gone up to 16. So that's the only reason why I was checking it here. All right. So, anyways. All right. So, anyways, let me see now. Now that we did check that. All right. So anyway, so yeah, 15 now in Japan is considered underage, but there was a point in time in recent memory that it wasn't. So just that's my point. All right. So anyways, finishing off this article, what's got to be telling is that the judge was also a woman and can serve as an example of a lady who let down other ladies. I have read at times that Japanese prisons can be hell on earth. One of the reasons they have low crime rate. There are a lot of Asian prisons that have notorious reputations in terms of being places that you don't want to end up in. You know, um, uh, but that's still no excuse for the travesties they're leading to by handing out sentences too minor, and there have been at least a few other mangakas and other people in entertainment in Japan who got too light a sentence, and it makes little difference if they were shunned by the public. The fact is, the felons cannot continue to roam freely in public until they serve long enough sentence for their crimes. So when will Japan's justice system begin to recognize that fact? So, anyways, I've kind of gone over the what the law is. I know there are a lot of people going to be disagreeing with it because there is this moral certainty that a lot of people have that it just across the board it should be 18. And I just don't believe people should be engaging in any kind of in sexual intercourse or anything like that until they're married to begin with. So, that's just my own personal belief, but you know, um, it's always wiser to go with that plan. But with that being said, um, that is a highly controversial story. Sometimes that stuff because what it is that different countries, of course, had different laws, and a lot of countries do differentiate between age of consent with restrictions and age of consent without. You know, Here in America, I think we pretty much even in America we have some of our states here in America have it as young as 16, but there are certain restrictions placed on it. Usually, either age difference and or restricted by authority. So, anyways, I know people are not going to be happy with my analysis of it, but it is what it is. So, um, but with that being said, of course, why don't we go ahead and get ready to move on now to the wrestling wrap up. And of course, we will first off go back to last night and look back to last night's Ring of Honor and Impact show. As of course, even though Ring of Honor is not having a big event, since they are kind of a part of AEW. Let's see what happened on last night's show. So Athena successfully defended the Ring of Honor Women's World Title against La Catalina. Jay Lethal and Satnam Singh in his first match in the U.S. since returning from his sojourn to Mexico defeated McCallion and Slade. Billy Starks defeated Milo in a one-on-one match. In a non-title tag team match, the current Ring of Honor tag team champions, the Sons of Texas, Sammy Guevara and Dustin Rhodes, defeated John Cruz and Olumide. Beast Mordos defeated Sonico. Thunder Rosa defeated Brittany Brooks. Bandito and Gravity defeated the infantry of the Shane Taylor promotions, Carly Bravo and Sean Dean. The Gates of Agony defeated Bad Dude Tito and Che Guevara. And the main event saw in trios action the Panther family of Blue Panther Jr., Dark Panther defeating Euphoria, Gran Guerrero, and Valiente. So that was all for that. And now, as of course TNA is continuing its march towards its next pay-per-view, Sacrifice, which is 1 week from today. Last night's show included Elijah making his singles debut in Impact, defeating the System's Brian Myers. Savannah Evans defeated Zaya Brookside in a singles match. Mike Santana defeated one half of the Great Hands, John Skyler. AJ Francis of First Class defeated Steve Macklin. Northern Armory, led by Eric Young, who also had Judas Sicarius and Icarus and Travis Williams, defeated Ace Austin and the Rascals. The main event saw a non-title tag team match. TNA World Tag Team Champions, the Hardys, Jeff and Matt Hardy, defeating the Colognes, Eddie and Orlando, via DQ in a battle of the brothers. So now we'll get ready to move on to what to look forward to on tonight's SmackDown. I'm going to head to tonight's SmackDown here. All right, on tonight's SmackDown, coming from the Wells Fargo Center in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, one match that is scheduled in a non-title street fight. WE Women's United States Champion Chelsea Green takes on Michin, and that's the only thing that's scheduled for tonight. Now we'll also look at what to look ahead to from this as we look ahead to tomorrow night's Collision. As it will be the go-home collision before It'll be the go-home collision before next Sunday's Revolution, or this Sunday's Revolution. On tonight's on tomorrow night's Collision from the Memorial Auditorium in Sacramento, California, the Ops of Hook, Samoa Joe, and Katsuya Shibata will be taking on Jack Benning, Starboy Charlie, and Titus Alexander in a trios match. In preparation for their upcoming tag title match this Sunday at Revolution, the Outrunners of Turbo Floyd and Truth Magnum will be taking on Premier Athletes duo of Aria Davari and Tony Nese. Harley Cameron continues her run as wrestling, taking on Tatovic in a lucha match here. Dralistico takes on Hologram. In preparation for her upcoming TBS title shot coming up this Sunday at Revolution, Momo Watanabe makes her AEW in-ring debut against Serena Deeb. The Infantry, who were just on Carly Bravo and Sean Dean, who were just on Ring of Honor last night, will be on Collision tomorrow night, taking on the Undisputed Kingdom duo of Kyle O'Reilly and Roderick Strong. The main event will see Daniel Garcia defending the TNT title against Ring of Honor Pure Champion Lee Moriarty. And speaking of Revolution, which will be coming up this Sunday, so here's what, and I'll mention in a moment what's to look forward to this Sunday. Coming up this Sunday from the Crypto.com arena in Los Angeles, California. All Elite Wrestling will have its Revolution pay-per-view. On the night, you will see Kazuchika Okada defending the Continental title against Brody King. In a match for the AEW World Tag Team titles, the Hurt Syndicate of Shelton Benjamin and Bobby Lashley with MVP in their corner take on the aforementioned Outrunners, Turbo, Floyd, and Truth Magnum. In a number one contendership match, Ricochet takes for the AEW World title. Ricochet will be taking on Swerve Strickland. Strickland will have, of course, Prince Nana in his corner. In a steel cage match, a battle of two former members of the United Empire. Will Ospreay will be taking on the aerial assassin. Will Ospreay will be taking on the protostar Kyle Fletcher. Konosuke Takeshita defends the international title against Kenny Omega. Kenny Omega seeks to avenge the 2 losses in a week that he took from Takeshita a couple years ago. In a Hollywood ending match, Toni Storm will defend the AEW Women's World title against Mariah May in what will prove to be their rubber match, as they've each won 1 match apiece. Adam Page takes on MJF in a match for the TBS title. Mercedes Moné will be defending against the aforementioned Momo Watanabe. And the main event will see Jon Moxley defending the AEW World title against Cope. Cope is essentially taking out all the other members of the Death Riders. And with that being said, now we'll get ready to move on to this day in each history. And with today being Friday, March the 7th, 2025, let's take a look back at this day in each history. History! So let me just see everything here. All right. So anyways, first up, heading back to the year 1996, on this date in 1996, which was 29 years ago today. This date in 1996. The 5th and final issue of Anne Rice's The Witching Hour from Millennium went on sale on this date back in 1996. So 29 years ago today, the 5th and final issue of Anne Rice's The Witching Hour went on sale on this date back in 1996. Sold for $2.50 for 32 pages. All right, then. So now moving on to the next piece of niche history here. Moving ahead to the year 2010, which was 15 years ago today, at the 82nd Academy Awards, the second time in the history of the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences, an animated feature film is nominated for Best Picture but loses, Up by Pete Docter. However, it did win the Academy Award for Best Animated Feature and the Academy Award for Best Original Score. Also winning for Best Animated Short Film was Nicholas Schmerkin's Logorens. So that all happened on this date 15 years ago at the Academy Awards. And finally, moving ahead to the last piece of niche history here for tonight. Going back just 10 years ago today, is on this date 10 years ago today. Shin-El Animation's Doraemon, Nobita's Space Heroes, and Tatsunoko Productions' Prepara, the movie Everyone Assemble, Prism Tours, both premiered in Japanese theaters on this date back in 2015. So 10 years ago today, Shin-El Animation's Doraemon, Nobita's Space Heroes, Tatsunoko Productions, Prepara, the movie Everyone Assemble, Prism Tours, both premiered on this date back in 2015. So with that, I thank everybody for being here tonight. I hope everybody enjoyed the show. I know we got into kind of a little bit of a controversial topic towards the end there, but I do feel at times it is good to talk about at least and hash it out because, obviously other countries have different societal rules than we do. Doesn't necessarily make them any more right or wrong, but that's just how their legal systems deal with it. With that, don't forget we'll be back here this Sunday. We'll be going back and looking over comics that went on sale in March of 1940. We'll be looking at comics that went on sale. My co-host will be Rick Piper from Cross Comics. So with that, I thank everybody for being here. Oh, and don't forget, this Sunday we're going to daylight savings time. So for those of you who still have to, manually do it, don't forget to move forward an hour, spring forward an hour. So that's coming up this Saturday night, Sunday morning. So don't forget to spring forward. So with that, I thank everybody for being here. Hope to see everybody back here on Sunday. Bye.